What is something that you would never confess to your family? That my mother, who always said time and time again that she will never turn into her mother, has turned into her mother. My extended family thinks I've had no career or salary advancement for 10 years. I play a bumbling idiot with them who just can't catch a break. Reason being, they're a cavalcade of self-inflicted sob stories and off-und grifters. I don't want to be hit up for loans every other week. I'm actually a senior manager at an established consulting firm. If they had a good reason for their misery other than got wasted with the money for bills and didn't pay them, I would help them out. Pretending to be a struggling idiot deflects any attempts at soliciting me for money. Note, I live out of state from them, and they don't travel. So I only have to maintain this foolish charade for Thanksgiving and Christmas. My parents are in on it. I joined the Navy to get away from them. Not because I felt some sort of patriotic duty, like they tell people. I liked it. I found a purpose. I got great training that got me the job I have today. But I did it because I hated it at home. I would never tell my grandmother how much of an idiot I think my uncle is. She buries her head in the sand about him. That I'm really not as smart or motivated as they claim I am. I'm freaking stupid, and I kind of just want to sit in my apartment and do nothing until I die at 30. I'm really happy to only see them once or twice a year due to living 3,000 miles away. I just can't stand them. They all gossip and talk crap and spin their wheels so much you can't even have a normal conversation with any of them. It's all drama and always has been. I never understood how and why I was so depressed my entire life. Found escapism through alcohol and partying. Since I've lived across the country I'm sober. Have a super awesome family and I barely ever see them. It's great. I give myself gold on Reddit. The code for prize clause to work correctly. My younger aunt and I almost fooled around when we were kids. We didn't know about each other, and when we both met she was 13. I was 15. As we grew up there was a ton of flirting and sexual tension. It never came to anything, thank God. But we had some intimate conversations around it. Oddly enough both of us are very close today and have even spoke about how ridiculous the whole thing was. To clarify, she was technically my half-aunt. Mom had me at 16. Grandpa had an affair with another woman. Produced my aunt 2 years later. And subsequently left grandmother for other woman. For the record, both of those women are lovely. I rarely see the grandmother who lives far away, but the other woman lives in the same state and sees her great grandson and I with some frequency. Neither of us want to bone the other anymore, and at least one of us is happily married. We are both embarrassed, but I think she's more embarrassed than I am. That being said, she is very attractive and younger me fantasized about it a lot, and I will always have those fantasies with me. We have children and those children see each other infrequently, attend each other's birthday parties yada yada. We've rarely talked about it, but when we have it's very dismissive like what the hell was wrong with us type thing. Obviously, it's always there for me, and I'm pretty sure for her. I can't interact with her without thinking, hey, remember that time we talked about fooling around and then never did? How sad I am. Almost any of my thoughts, feelings and beliefs on anything. I don't think that's really a bad thing, they don't need to know any of that. All I want is to feel loved and secure, but I don't feel that in this family. I really don't enjoy spending time with them. I've been the black sheep since I was a child, and it sucks when the entire family thinks of you as the mean one, then wonder why you don't have any interest in spending time with them. That I accidentally got her, my mom, a non-vegetarian hot dog one time. I just didn't think when I was ordering. She thought it was the best veggie dog ever and had a great night's sleep that night. I will take that to the grave with me. I used to smoke meth. I've been clean for 13 years now, and they'll never know. In the worst part of my alcoholism I tried to overdose on sleeping pills. In the way to the hospital my mom said it might have been better for everyone if I just did the deed. I haven't forgiven her, and I don't know if I can. That I don't feel like part of the family. I feel like I don't belong, and like I'm just a substitute for when my brother isn't around. I don't feel respected or wanted. I feel like my girlfriend's family likes me more than they do, and if I had the funds to I would've moved out long ago, and they probably wouldn't have seen or heard from me since apart from maybe Christmas, and that is only because of my cousins. In 3rd grade, I cheated on my history exam. In 4th grade, I stole my Uncle Maximum's toupee and I glued it on my face when I was Moses in my Hebrew school play. In 5th grade, I knocked my sister Edie down the stairs, and I blamed it on the dog when my mom sent me to the summer camp for fat kids, and then they served lunch. I went nuts and I pigged out, and they kicked me out. But the worst thing I ever done, I mixed a pot of fake puke at home, and then I went to this movie theater, hid the puke in my jacket, climbed up to the balcony, and then I made a noise like this, hooah 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 hooah, and then I dumped it over the side, all over the people in the audience. And then, this was horrible, all the people started getting sick and throwing up all over each other. I never felt so bad in my entire life. I met a random redditor for sex and quite enjoyed it. My husband knows, but I'm very apathetic and don't feel a lot. I do feel and have feelings, but not the same as other people seem to. I know what I should feel and have learned how to react when I need to. But I tend to truly only feel more extreme emotions, and the rest of the time I'm just content or neutral. Fetishes. Lol. Nice try, mom. I've dropped psychedelics and the old lazy pose me was killed in my trip. Now I'm super motivated and hardworking. My ultimate secret crush. That I started wanking every day at age 9. That I'm about to fail university. I struggle but can't tell them because they are proud of me. I went to a brothel while I was in Germany and it was amazing. My first thought when I found out my wife was pregnant was, now I have something else to live for. I was struggling harder with my mental health than I cared to admit to anyone, even myself. The news that I would have a baby to look after got me to get remedicated and seek therapy. I have a Wattpad account with a story that has 112k reads on it. Probably something that I would never confess to Reddit either. That I don't agree with the half of their views that sometimes range anything from racist comments, laziness, lifestyle, etc. Not anything special, but it's a bit annoying when you want to strike up a constructive debate, but it would only turn to yelling. Depression. Any sexual dream I've had, ever, nobody needs to know that. Most of my mental health was caused by them. I love my parents, but I'm mentally screwed up. I'm not a sociopath, but I have issues, and I'm Asian and mental health isn't something that is considered an illness in the Asian community. I'm bisexual. I'm not ashamed of it at all. I'm out to everyone non-family. I've been with my boyfriend for 4 years and I just see no reason to risk them freaking out about it. And I'm not that close with them anyway. As much as I try, it's next to impossible to articulate how they made us, my siblings and myself, feel as children and the deep-seated emotional trauma that brings with it. We love each other even now, and by no means were they terrible people or the kind of parents that I'd have been taken away with. They did their best and tried so hard, but they aren't perfect and their mistakes cut deep. I still have a relationship with both of them, and I love them dearly. I guess that's probably why I'll never tell them how awful it all was. I physically can't bring myself to it. It's like trying to talk when your tongue goes numb. I can't imagine breaking it to them that they sucked. I would never tell my mom that I don't like her cooking. I'm a recovering alcoholic and drug addict at 24. They all warned me that my entire family was full of them, but I thought I was different. 105 days sober. That I would be happier if I never had to see them again. That I want to give up on marriage and kids. I have trust issues, and every time I trust people, they disappoint me in the end. So I would like to save my kids from such trust issues by not having them. That I don't share their love and obsession with the band Heart. They would never look at me the same if I ever confess to this. 3 years ago, my family and I were as close as can be. Then one day, I drove home from school and had to park on the road because my normal spot in the driveway was taken up by a car that I'd never seen before. Both my parents' cars were in the driveway and my sister was almost always home by this point. so I figured it was one of her friends from school or something. I opened the door, and apparently didn't make that much noise, because after I'd opened it, I heard a woman who was definitely not my mom or my sister yelling, in what I thought was pain. I've never told anyone else what I saw when I walked down the hall and opened that door. My dad was inside, who I found out later was a friend of his from work. His eyes and mine locked a split second before his grew as big as basketballs. He sat up on the bed, staring at me with a mixture of fear and anger in his eyes. Through gritted teeth, in a voice that I've never forgotten since, he said, quietly but forcefully, "You should added a serious tag to this question. I wish for death every night before I fall asleep. I hate myself, everyone, everything, and want to not feel anything anymore." In high school, when they thought I was at a wholesome sleepover, I was actually completely wasted on cheap alcohol, running around on the local golf course and peeing without abandon. That I don't love my parents. I know it sounds kinda bad, but I honestly don't. I posted recently a few reasons why, but even though I don't love them, I don't want to hurt them by saying it. I have a daughter. I've never wanted kids, but being young, dumb, and full of cum, I got my fiance pregnant. But with our issues, we couldn't deal with actually taking care of a kid, so we put her up for adoption. The family who got her was very excited and had been trying for almost a decade to have one of their own, but couldn't. They had just gotten through the background stuff the month before she was born, and this was their first chance at actually adopting. They were super happy. My fiance cried at giving her to them, and I just wanted to go get fricked up and forget it. We got married and divorced a few years back, and I got my life together, but occasionally I think of her, but can't bring myself to try and chat. I would have ruined that child's life. Probably that I don't believe in God anymore. I grew up in a decently religious household where we went to church every Sunday, and I was really involved in my youth group from middle school until I left for college. Once I was in college, I finally started questioning religion a lot more, and it wasn't long before I realized it made no sense at all to me, and that I had mainly loved going to church so much in high school because all of my friends were there, and it was my primary social outlet. At this point, I think my mom might have suspicions, but in my mind, it would only do harm to confirm them and tell her, because I'm still able to be my 100% self around her, and it would really hurt my parents' emo. My grandma, on the other hand, is extremely X1000 religious. This is where I have more issues, because for one, I have to pretend I'm a totally different person around her, which as I get older, really sucks and makes me question my relationship with her. And 2, I know if I told her I didn't believe in God, she would absolutely never talk to me again. It's a real crappy situation, but in the end, I'd rather not stir the pot and stick to just calling her once a month to have the same meaningless conversation we always do to keep her happy. When I was around 6, I heard that cats always land on their feet, so I thought I would test this out on our family cat. I picked up the cat and dropped her over the banister above the stairs in our house. She landed on her side, then ran away and hid for a while. When I got older, I remembered a separate incident of her getting pregnant and all but 2 of the kittens being stillborn. I have no idea if she was pregnant when I dropped her over the banister, but it haunts me as an adult to think about. I'm taking that story to my grave. That I have a better relationship with my friends than I do with them. That I have this Reddit account and a Twitter account. I'm not allowed social media. I'm 14 and almost all of the kids in my grade have some form of social media. My mom doesn't get it that some social media platforms are okay. Heck, she even said she doesn't believe in social media and has a ducking Facebook account. My second husband, that they all think is wonderful, has cheated on me, and it's actually far worse than the cheating that caused my first divorce from my high school sweetheart I had spent 15 years and had 2 children with. And I daily wish that, if I had to work on a marriage, it were my first. I'm going through the motions, and I smile and nod while they gush about him. If they knew he had slept with 5 other women in the course of our relationship, it would be awful. I found out about all of them in the course of a few months, a year after we married. Had I even had a suspicion before, I wouldn't be here, but he's a cop, and I was a RN in NP school with 2 kids. He's in his 40s. I'm in my late 30s. I fricked up by thinking we were busy adults and I didn't need to babysit a grown man. I was wrong. How angry I'm at them. That when I move out I'm probably not coming back. That you were the one who called the police to report something they did. My dad doesn't allow me to read any comments. He thinks people will trick me into crap. That I'm an atheist, especially since my mom just died and they are all assuring me and each other she's safe in heaven. I actually really don't like them as people. I love my family and would do anything for them, but sweet Jesus, I think I'd rather be alone again. I'm not an introvert. I love being around people. I just hate being around them. I've been to strip clubs. That I once held a knife to my wrist while part of my brain was trying to convince me to just end it. That I'm smoking weed. Unfortunately my family members have limited worldviews due to dogmatic way of thinking, and weed is absolutely restricted in our family. Therefore me and my uncle need to be extra carefully or we sick-sucked. Honestly, for not supporting Trump, most of my family despise him and what he stands for, me included, but for some reason, my mom is completely and utterly in support of him. She sounds like she could be his next press secretary. Grab him by the pussy? He was being sarcastic, dear. I didn't work with the Russians. Him and Putin just have a good relationship. All great men get along because they know they have to. COVID-19 will go away magically when the weather warms. He was advised by his health officials to consider the possibility of different weather conditions, dear. Inject disinfectant directly into our bodies. Don't listen to what the media is saying. They are just twisting his words. She can be his next press secretary, no doubt. That I'm an atheist. My mom hates atheists. I got a fake kid made when I was 17. My weird fetish. How would that conversation even start? I can't stand my mom who lives with me. She's judgmental, mean, interfering and wants to be in charge. I'll be 57 in 3 weeks. It's slammy to bish about my mom as a senior myself, but she's pretty hard to take. The past 8 years of her in my home has pretty much killed our relationship. My actual political opinions. It's not that different from them, but a lot of the times, I don't entirely agree with them. I just pretend I do. It's not like they're being morally fricked up or anything. I just don't have the energy nor the heart to get into a political debate that could change what they think of me. That my husband and I are trying to have a baby. Both my mom and his mom are really intense and badly have granny fever. I don't want to be constantly hounded by them trying to figure out if I'm pregnant and have everything I do be criticized in case it might harm a bundle of cells before it's even a fetus. I come from a really religious family. I don't believe in a god and I have grown to hate religions in general. I sort of tried to self-medicate my post-Navy depression in college by having a lot of sex. And this isn't some weird humbler brag. This is a confession that I felt like I had lost some semblance of control, and sex gave me this idea that I was in control. It was not healthy, and I finally sought therapy. But not until my body count was in the 60s. I feel gross just thinking about it. My dad could do better than my mom. That day, I was awake when they decided to have morning sex, and that I heard and saw everything. I was 9-yo. I was sleeping in the same room. That I rehomed their dog and told them he passed away while they were on vacation. Hear me out though, my parents had a really anxious dog that was kind of a nightmare after their other dog passed away. He was up there in age and really needed more open space and exercise than they were able to give him. My mom made Craigslist ads for him multiple times, but always cried and deleted them out of guilt. They loved him, but they knew they weren't giving him the best quality of life in his older years. The dog was becoming a burden on my parents and their old age, and no one was winning in this situation. I had a friend who lived on a huge wooded property, and she had 2 other dogs who knew and got on great with my parents' dog. So when my parents left for vacation, my friend and I brought the dog out to her home, and there he lived for the rest of his days, about 6 months. I told my parents he passed, and they were sad, but I could tell they were relieved too. Their dog had a wonderful time living his best life out in the woods with his friends, and it ended up being a way better situation for him. He got lots of love. exercise, and treats, and he passed away in his sleep on his comfy bed. That I'm actually married already. My now husband and I ran off and got married early due to some personal issues, and COVID didn't help. We are set to get married in November. His immediate family knows, and my friends do, but definitely not my mother. She would have a fit. I'm waiting till I get my stimulus check, if she ever finds out, so I can give her the money back if she wants it for my dress. Maybe not RN, but here we go. My far left opinions. I live in Texas. That I'm a lot happier living away from them. I'm gay. That I talk to people online and I have multiple active users on many platforms. Coming from a Muslim family, basically anything that has to do with my beliefs and almost everything I do. I live quite the haram, Islamically forbidden lifestyle, but I don't identify with that religion anymore, so it's okay for me. Also, I'm LGBT+, so there's that. Never an option to come out for me. I'm not really sad about it. It's not my fault that my parents guilt me with everything I ever told them. I just know I won't do the same with any future children I might have. Once I was friends with someone who turned out to be anti-Semitic. That I got the rest of my vaccines. They're super skeptical of them and didn't get me a few of my shots. I think anti-vax logic is bullcrap, and people who follow it need to get their head out their ass and let their kids live. I don't care about them very much. Some of them likely already suspect this, but there would be no point in rubbing it in. I used to read and write fanfic. LMAO. What an easier time. That I don't feel like a member of the family. Okay, let me explain. So my mom, dad and sis were born in Russia in the same city, then they moved to Belgium, in Europe, and then I was born, and they still can't let go of their Russian culture. And me never being born and raised in Russia, I did not understand any jokes, people, what they were talking about, etc, etc. And slowly I started to grow apart from them, because I just did not feel like a member of the family. And my daddy's, for some reason, really into sport, boxing, and of course me being skinny and not able to gain weight by eating, my father wants me to do sport to gain muscles, so I would not look skinny for the rest of my life. But that's already too late. I just can't, and never was able to relate to them. Also, I hate sports, and he forces me to do 100 push-up 50 pull-ups every single day, and I'm growing sick of my father, because he also is a person that gets very mad very quickly and almost calls me on a daily basis an idiot if I do something wrong, and now I'm 15 and all I want is that getting disowned by my mother was one of the best things that ever happened to me, and it ultimately backfired and destroyed her life. The full story: I was disowned twice because I disobeyed my mother by going to college, going to a summer program, and getting married. After years of being the scapegoat for my mother, a moment finally happened where she couldn't blame me for everything wrong in her life anymore, and she started turning against other members in the family. One by one, my siblings and family became the target of my mother's wrath and ire, and I was able to help them. And now, my mother is divorced. No one speaks to her, and she lives alone. And while she still blames me for everything, the rest of the family knows she has no one to blame but herself. Moral of the story: a noose once set fits one neck as easily as another. Sometimes a personal hell is the kind we create for ourselves. I will never tell my wife that sometimes, after my shower, I sit on her side of the bed for a moment or two to thoroughly absorb any residual moisture on my ass. These things are best left undisclosed. That I wanna get multiple fake IDs and a bunch of wigs and pretend I'm different people when I go out, just for the pleasure of people never really knowing that I'm under disguise, and they will live the rest of their lives not knowing who I really am or what I look like. I also want them to find all this in a storage unit after I die with a bunch of other stuff, and have them living with the fact that I lived multiple lives and they never truly knew who I was at all. I want the sweet pleasure of freaking them up for the rest of their lives. Now that I'm a parent, I'm starting to side with my black sheep brother, and I can see that my mom is a selfish piece of crap and I don't want her around me, and my kids either. I'd trade most of them to get my little sister back without hesitation. I'm trying to be a successful online sex worker. I enjoy it, and the money is nice. But my family would not approve at all. Some hentai crap. I'm atheist. My entire family is Christian. No offense to anyone, but I see no point. All of that Rush Limbaugh they played in the house made me a liberal. I'm kinda glad I don't have to see my mother at the moment. That you would tell to all of Reddit. Yeah, I'll pass. That I had a one night stand and lost my virginity about 5 hours after my mom finished helping me move into my dorm. Coming from a very Christian household. Yeah. Also how my depression never went away and the shrink never helped. I just got better at hiding it. I'm freaking empty inside and I'm just waiting for the next 50, 70 years to pass so I can freaking die already.